Hello everyone and welcome back to D&Q Football, and we are here today to discuss the other semi-final, Vietnam versus Thailand, the winners of Group A against the runners-up of Group B. And if you've watched our previous preview and you're wondering why haven't they changed clothes, it's because we are recording them back to back, so don't judge us for that. I thought I'd just get that out straight away. This game, of course, pits the tournament favourites Vietnam against certainly Group A favourites. In Thailand, you've got the 99th ranked side Vietnam against 118 Thailand. You've got the only side yet to concede in Vietnam against the only side with a 100% record in Thailand. And we are going to start, as we did in the previous preview, with the away side in this one. Ryan, talk us through Thailand.
Talk us through Thailand, mate. This game is huge.
Massive.
This game, across two semi-final legs, is one of these teams going to win this tournament? Potentially. And this is... A lot of people would have had this one down as their kind of shout for the final.
As the final, yeah, for sure.
You've got, as their kind of pre-tournament predictions for one. I think they would have thought both of these teams would have won their group. And won their semi-final and ended up meeting in the final. The only reason they haven't is because Vietnam couldn't quite break through a resilient Indonesia. Were held to a goalless draw there. Indonesia's form saw them pit Vietnam to the top of Group B, which is now how these two have been pitted against each other. Now, it's no surprise, really, that Thailand are once again in the semi-final of the Suzuki Cup. They've won it 5 times, and in the last 4 editions of the tournament, as we spoke about in the tournament preview, runner-up, winner, semi-final. They've got a season ticket to the semi-final, and they enter this semi-final in extremely good form. Played 4, as you said, won 4 at the tournament, perfect record. They've scored 10, they've only conceded 1, and Dangda has already got 4 goals and overtaken the other goal scorers that were like, I don't know who's overtaken, to be fair, but we spoke about it again in our pre-tournament preview about how he was 2 or 3 goals off being the leading goal scorer for this tournament. He's done it in the group stages, 4 goals already, and he now is the record all-time scorer for the Suzuki Cup. They're in a good space, they're in a good spell, but they face stiff competition from this seriously impressive Vietnam team. A Vietnam team that I'm going to hold my hands up how I didn't realise they were this good an outfit.
Yeah, well, I think, sometimes this is where if you look at a set of games, results can be misleading, because Vietnam have had one of the worst 2021s in terms of international form of any side on the planet.
Yeah.
That is only because they have made it right the way through to the final round of World Cup qualifying in the AFC, and they're getting beaten by sides such as Australia and Saudi Arabia and Japan. So it really does put into context just how good they are, because these are not games which they're regularly getting battered in, but they are losing every game. They've lost every game so far in that final group. But when you compare that to some of these other sides we've seen in the tournament, pretty much every other side in the tournament went out in... every other side went out in round 1 or round 2, most of them going out in round 2 of AFC qualification. So it skews your image going into this tournament of, okay, everyone talks about this new golden generation for Vietnam. We know how well they've done recently at this tournament, but are they that good? And then you look at the group stages where a 2-0 win against Laos, a 3-0 win against Malaysia. I think that was when I certainly sat up and paid attention. Okay, wow, how comfy was that?
Yeah.
Then a draw against Indonesia, like we discussed in the other preview that we've just done. They could have and should have won that game, but I think the most impressive...
Traffic, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was one-way traffic for the whole game. I think everyone should look at that game and just applaud Indonesia's resilience, because it's certainly not a negative mark on Vietnam. They controlled the game and they didn't concede at all. And then they finished with a comfortable 4-0 victory against Cambodia. It wasn't quite enough for them to top the group purely on goal difference. because as we've already discussed, Malaysia losing 4-1 to Indonesia. Indonesia scoring so many goals in this tournament and going through top. But it sets up a salivating semi-final, that's for sure.
Lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought so too. Listen, I've watched Vietnam at times, and it almost... I don't know. We've done a lot of analysis on these other teams. Did a lot of analysis on Malaysia. Did a lot of analysis on Indonesia going into that preview. With these two sides, it's been difficult to do that because you just want to sit back and just watch them play. They play so well. Vietnam are such a team. They're such a team effort. They've got a few standout players. Nguyen Thanh Linh was particularly good against Cambodia in the last game. But they're just such a unit. To have played every game in this group against, a group that includes Malaysia and Indonesia, who are no slouches, Cambodia, who did well in this tournament, and Laos, who, personally, they impressed me as well. And to not concede, and to not even really look like they were going to concede, it sets up a game which I have no disappointment in myself with the fact that I have no idea how this semi-final is going to play out. Not a clue.
Yeah, I was going to say, for this one we were speaking kind of off air, weren't we, a little bit about the fixture and trying to think sort of, how are you going to call this one? It's really, really difficult. It's really, really difficult. You've got Vietnam that are potentially better prepared for this game, having played maybe slightly stiffer competition in the group stage, Indonesia and Malaysia, whereas Thailand have been comfortable throughout their group stage and will be going head first into a game against a proper outfit. My prediction for this double-legger and who will progress is Vietnam. I think you've mentioned Nguyen Thanh Linh. In the last game, he performed well. Nguyen Quang Hai has been impressive throughout the tournament. They've got an impressive team. They've not conceded a goal. They've gone through this tournament with, in fact, to be fair, both teams have a ruthless efficiency, haven't they? But I just think when push comes to shove, I think the defending champions Vietnam will have enough to beat Thailand across the two legs and progress to the final.
Yeah, my prediction for this one, and I'm fully prepared to be wrong on this, is I think across the two legs it'll be quite a low scorer. I was
going to say the same, actually.
Yeah,
I think
both sides.
I think it'd be quite cagey.
Yeah, both sides won't want to go a couple of goals down. I mean, neither of them's been threatened. Thailand have only conceded one. I say, Vietnam haven't conceded. Thailand have only conceded one, and that was to the Philippines. And Thailand have scored in every game. Vietnam haven't quite. But there's really, based on the records of this tournament alone, there's nothing particularly to separate them. And you look at it and you think, I think both managers tactically will set up that it will be close going into the second leg. I think, we could see a 1-0 to either side, but I think I don't see a one-goal swing or any more than a one-goal swing going into the second leg. I think it will be really, really close. It wouldn't surprise me if whoever wins the first... Say the first leg's like 1-0 to Vietnam, if then the second leg is also 1-0 to Vietnam. Or something low-scoring like that. I think that Dang Da is a brilliant striker, always a threat, can score from anywhere. And I think it's a really interesting dynamic because you've got a defence that hasn't been beaten up against an attacking outfit that's scored 10 goals. And against, Singapore and the Philippines, so perhaps not a side anywhere near as good as Vietnam. But my overriding consensus is a narrow, but still effective, Vietnam win, much like yourself. And I think it could be a win to 0 or to 1 across the two legs. I think it'll be close.
I think if Vietnam nullify the threats of both Dang Da and Sarachat for Thailand, that's where most of their attacking impetus comes from. They've scored goals. They've scored goals from other sources across the pitch. But Dang Da's got 4. Everyone knows about the threat of Dang Da. And Sarachat's got 2 in this tournament so far, who's been tricky, pacey, and dynamic, direct. If they can nullify those, then I think that they will win both fixtures in this semi-final and progress. Like everyone knows about the threat of Vietnam across the pitch. They're a well-drilled, well-oiled machine. You've already mentioned it there. This Vietnam team is considered the latest or kind of the golden generation of Vietnamese football. And I expect them to secure their spot in the final of this competition with continuing their ruthless efficiency with a couple of victories against a determined Thailand. But I expect them to get the win nonetheless.
Yeah, I think, everyone looked at this fixture, thought it would be the final. I think that these two sides are still the favourites to win the tournament. I think that Indonesia are the favourites to get to the final in the other game, in my personal opinion, going solely off of this tournament so far. But I think either of these sides will still fancy themselves to go on and win the competition. I think that tactically it could be won and lost on the fact that Vietnam can't get ahead of themselves. Thailand will know who they're up against. Thailand have got a blueprint of how to potentially play against Vietnam. They'll have to copy what Indonesia did with sitting back, trying to be resolute, and then trying to sort of counter-attack. That comes with its own risks as well. Vietnam don't have a lot to go off looking at the other games because Thailand have sort of won at a canter in every game. But Vietnam will have to focus on Thailand as the opposition first before thinking that they will retain this tournament. They're still the favourites. Vietnam, it's not weighed them down so far. They'll want to win this game. They'll want to win both legs, which of course are played on the 23rd and 26th of December. That doesn't give them a huge amount of rest time before the double-legged final. I think, as we've said, just to sort of summarise, both of our previews, we personally believe that it'll be an Indonesia-Vietnam final, which would be very, very interesting, very, very entertaining. And just a word on the tournament as a whole so far. A very, very enjoyable tournament it's been.
Yeah, 100%. I think the coverage as well has been brilliant. We were talking about it's just little things, weren't we? How good the commentary teams have been on those live feeds of YouTube. So good. They've managed to sort of emanate or really bring out the atmosphere and kind of the passion of this tournament across in commentary and across on those live streams, and especially when the stadiums haven't been full. I don't know what the restrictions are over there, but yeah, we've loved it. For us at D&Q, it's that we love these kind of tournaments, don't we? And it's always great. And actually, I've been really surprised at the quality. The quality, even the teams that have come the bottom and the bottom two of each group have showed some real promise. I've been really, really surprised. You mentioned Cambodia on the other semi-final preview, and Laos and how they've been impressive. It's been a great tournament so far, and I really, really think, I hope, but I really am confident that these both semi-finals in particular, this one will deliver another feast of footballing brilliance.
Absolutely, and on D&Q, unlikely that we're going to do a watch-along for these games, so the next video you may see from us is certainly the watch-along for the other semi-final, but then of course, the preview for the double-legged final, depending on who's in that. Unless, of course, the UK is plunged into another lockdown, in which case we'll be doing videos every day. So it could go either way. But for now, all that's left for us to say is good luck to both teams in this semi-final. Do comment who you think's going to win, what you think the scoreline will be across the two legs, and don't forget to subscribe. That is all from us tonight on D&Q Football. We'll see you next time.